Healthy Snacks meals in the building.
I wasn't even thinking about me being on the show. I wanted to produce something for them.
Cool celebrity. Like if I went to the mall and stuff, people like, oh.
The thing was, I didn't even know that anybody ever thought I was ugly.
We look like twins almost.
Okay.
She really wouldn't be
Covering any more subjects related. So that's why you got the raw reaction. This is pathetic. It's pathetic.
I do, but I don't take it for granted.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I mean, I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my end.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And this earth, and then in a world we can't see. And this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
Clive J. Davis was born April 4th, 1932 in Brooklyn, New York to a Jewish family. His mother died at age 47 and his father died the following year when Davis was only a teenager, leaving him an orphan with no money. He then moved in with his married sister in Bayside, Queens, New York City, New York. He attended New York University College of Arts and Science, where he graduated magna cum laude with a degree in political science and Phi Beta Kappa in 1953. He received a full scholarship to Harvard Law School, where he was a member of the Board of Student Advisors and graduated in 1956. Davis practiced law in a small firm in New York, where his colleague had CBS as a client, and Davis was subsequently hired to become assistant counsel of CBS's group, Columbia Records, at age 28, and then general counsel the following year. Davis was then appointed as administrative vice president and general manager in 1965. In 1966, CBS formed the Columbia CBS Group, which reorganized CBS's recorded music operations into CBS Records, with Davis heading the new unit. The next year, Davis was appointed president and became interested in the newest generation of folk rock and roll. One of his earliest pop signings was the British folk rock musician Donovan. In June 1967, at the urging of his friend and business associate Lou Adler, Davis attended the Monterey Pop Festival. He immediately signed Janice Joplin with Big Brother and the Holding Company. Clive has alleged in his memoir titled The Soundtrack of My Life that when signing Janice to CBS, she suggested performing a sexual act with him to seal the deal. He is quoted as saying, "Janice thought that sleeping with me would make things seem less corporate." In 1970, after leaving Clive Davis and signing with another producer and band, Janice Joplin was found dead in a hotel room of a heroin overdose. It is said that the heroin was a very pure form and that it was hardly cut, and it was not tested by her dealer before he sold it to her. Sources close to Janice recall that the dealer that Janice usually bought drugs off of had always prided himself in testing the heroin before selling it to Janice, but on this particular day he did not. Now, why would that be? It has been speculated that Clive Davis orchestrated these events, but as we all know, this will not be the only time an artist associated with Clive dies a mysterious death. After Davis was fired from CBS Records in 1973 for allegedly using company funds to bankroll his son's bar mitzvah, Columbia Pictures then hired him to be a consultant for the company's Bell Records. Davis took time out to write his memoirs and then founded Arista Records in 1974. At Arista, Davis signed Barry Manilow, followed by Aretha Franklin, Dionne Warwick, and Alicia Keys, to name a few. Davis founded LaFace Records with L.A. Reid and Babyface. LaFace subsequently became the home of TLC, Usher, Outkast, Pink, and Toni Braxton. He founded Bad Boy Records with Sean Puffy Combs, and it became the home of the Notorious B.I.G., Mace, 112, and Faith Evans, although Davis would later admit that he never quite understood rap music. Davis was made aware of Sissy Houston's daughter, Whitney Houston, after he saw the Houstons perform at a New York City nightclub. Impressed with what he had heard, Davis signed her to Arista. Houston became one of the biggest selling artists in music history under the guidance of Davis at Arista. Now, how is it that after being fired from allegedly stealing money, how do you go on to not only be given a second chance, but you're given a second chance by the same company that you stole money from in the first place? Hired by Columbia Pictures after stealing from Columbia Records. being affiliated with people in high places. That's how. Davis left Arista in 2000 and started J Records, an independent label with financial backing from Arista parent Bertelsmann Music Group. BMG would buy a majority stake in J Records in 2002, and Davis would become president and CEO of the larger RCA Music Group. Do you see how all of these labels somehow has Clive Davis as an entity, as a president, as a gatekeeper? Having to go through Clive to obtain a deal or contract is an understatement. In 2004, BMG merged with Sony Music Entertainment to form Sony BMG. With the assets of the former CBS Records now under Sony's ownership, the joint venture would mean a return of sorts for Davis to his former employer, CBS Records again. Davis remained with RCA Label Group until 2008, when he was named Chief Creative Officer for Sony BMG. Davis was elevated to Chief Creative Officer of Sony Music Entertainment, a title he currently still holds, as part of a corporate restructuring when Sony BMG became Sony Music Entertainment in the late 2008, when BMG sold its shares to Sony. Arista Records and J Records, which were both founded by Davis, were dissolved in October 2011 through the restructuring of RCA Records. All the artists under those labels were moved to RCA Records. Clive's most famous signing, though, is Whitney Houston, who he discovered and helped mold into one of the biggest selling artists in music history. He once said of Whitney, "You wait for a voice like that for a lifetime. You wait for a face like that, a smile like that, a presence like that for a lifetime. And when one person embodies it all, well, it just takes your breath away." In his book, he devoted an entire chapter to Whitney. He recalls his trepidations about her acting in the Bodyguard movie and writes in depth about the subsequent problems that led to her death. Now, why would someone have fears of a person doing a movie? Well, we'll get into that later. In his memoir, he revealed that he once attempted an intervention on Whitney, who was in complete denial about her addictions. "I knew that if an addict does not want help, there is ultimately very little that anyone can do." In his book, he reprints a letter that he wrote to her after seeing her skinny body, and we all saw that, as she performed at the 2001 Michael Jackson concert. He wrote, "Dearest Whitney, when I saw you last night at the Michael Jackson concert, I gasped. When I got home, I cried. My dear Whitney, the time has come." Now, what did he mean by that? What did he mean by the time has come? The time has come for what? For her to get her life together, for her to get, in recovery, or for her death? What did he mean by her time has come? He also recounts the shock of receiving the phone call that Whitney was dead just hours before his annual pre-Grammy party, saying, "There are moments when time stands still and you feel as if you can't even begin to comprehend the words that are being spoken to you. That's how I felt right then." Well, it would seem to me if Whitney had such an impact on his life, his pre-Grammy party would not have went on as if she was not dead in a hotel room close by. Singer Chaka Khan was interviewed by CNN after Whitney's death, and she said that Clive's party should have never went on, that it should have been canceled. She said that being the type of person that Whitney was, if one of her closest and dearest friends had just died, she would have not went on as if nothing were happening. She would have not attended a party. She would have not wanted the music to go on, as Clive has insinuated. Chaka said the party was insanity, with one half of the room partying and the other half in tears. She added that she can't even imagine Whitney having said that the show must go on. Shaka went on to say that whomever flew Whitney out a week before the party is to blame for what happened. They knew that Whitney was struggling with drug addiction, and flying a person out to Hollywood that is in such a fragile state is a recipe for disaster. There's nothing to do but party, which is exactly what Whitney did. Who do we think flew Whitney out for that week? Who do we think arranged for Whitney to be given that dangerous cocktail of illicit drugs? In 2013, an 80-plus-year-old Clive admitted to being bisexual, stating that he has been attracted to men and women since the 70s, further stating that his first sexual encounter with a man was in the era of Studio 54. During this encounter in the club, he was so drunk that when the man made an advance towards him, he was open to the man's sexual overtures. Prior to that, he'd only been with a woman, so being with a man provided welcome relief.
All right, now let's take a trip down memory lane to the 80s. Let's talk about that decade, because this was the decade where you were really struggling with your sexuality. And in your book, you reveal that you are bisexual. Why did you wait so long, Clive, to make that public?
Well, first of all, I was only turning to bisexuality after my second marriage failed, so that it was not an issue through my life. Neither of my marriages were affected. I was totally attracted to women. When the marriage failed in the mid-'80s, I opened myself up to the possibility that I could have a relationship with a man, as well as the two that I had with a woman. I felt it was private, number one, as far as my not revealing it, but I did immediately reveal it to the people who count, my children. I have 4 children. I was totally open with my close friends. I just didn't hold the sign up, you know. And
Do you think that this...
also there was an attitude towards bisexuality, pervasive, that you're either gay, you're straight, or you're lying. It's not true. So I knew that when I decided to write my autobiography that this was something that I was certainly going to be forthcoming about, and I wrote about it.
You're in a relationship with a man right now.
Right.
Do you think that do you hope that bisexuality will be better understood as a result of your honesty?
I honestly do have that hope that that is the case. I know for me, if any reason this relationship were not to continue, I'm still attracted to women, so that you don't have to be only one thing or another. For me, it's the person. I'm in a monogamous relationship. I respect monogamy. And I hope that this is understood.
He has been married twice and has admitted to fooling around with men while being in relationships with women. Now, y'all know Studio 54 was a wild club back in the 70s. It was a place of disco, partying, sex, and drugs. It was full of celebrities doing whatever they wanted to do, and sex and drugs seems to be the choice for all of them. Now, after all these years of being in the industry, now you admit to being with men. It has been often speculated that male artists are solicited to perform sexual acts in order to gain a contract, a record deal, in order to obtain riches and fame. If he was attracted to men, and after long nights in the studio with artists, songwriters, and producers, I can absolutely picture him engaging in sexual acts with artists, requiring them to perform for deals and opportunities. This is what goes on in the industry. It's been going on, and it is not a secret in the inside. They try to keep it from the public, but it is starting to become very apparent. But this is often the trick of the powers that be in the industry. During a night of partying, the celebrity is slipped a substance that they may not be used to, and now that they're being filmed in compromising situations, maybe it's with men on men, women on women, filmed doing unspeakable sexual and perverted acts, filmed doing drugs. These videotapes are often used as blackmail to get the said celebrity to commit acts on producers for deals, contracts, and fame. Nothing is free in this game. Nothing. Fame and money has a price. It is often said that at the end of an entertainer's contract or expiration date, we often see the person displayed in the press as erratic, strung out, or in a downward spiral, so that when they are met with an untimely death, the public thinks that their behavior and lifestyle is what led to their demise. The celebrity is worth more dead to the label and powers that be than they are alive. When they become erratic and they become, into drugs, and they're not doing and performing as well, they're not selling. They're not performing. They are worth more dead than alive. They're often in debt. They often owe the label. They often owe other proprietors. They often owe for jewelry, cars. Prince and Michael Jackson, they owed people for paintings and art. These celebrities are worth more dead than they are alive. When a person enters the industry, there are certain contracts that they must sign. In these contracts, it's been said that there are certain trade-offs that an artist must accept in order to reach a certain type of fame. The superstar level, the icon level, certain trade-offs must be made. It's nothing free in Hollywood. Nothing. These contracts often call for certain promotions of Lucifer via black dysfunction, drug use, and sexual perversions. When you see an artist that is a musician start to cross over into movie roles, major movie roles, this is often a sign that they have signed what is known as a blood contract. It is alleged that sacrificial offerings in forms of family, close friends, or close loved ones are required. Deciding who lives or dies in the industry is not a matter of chance or circumstance, but it is a matter of who sticks to these hidden contracts and who follows their orders. Now, as we dig more into the life of Clive Davis, Clive is a gatekeeper. He's the gatekeeper in the music industry. For years, he has been known as the man with the golden ear. He's been said to be able to just hear a track, hear a sound, and know that it's going to be a hit. Know that it's going to be successful, that it's going to reach superstardom status. But you got to go through him to get a contract. You've got to go through him to be irrelevant. So what do you think you have to do? What do you think these people do that drives them to drugs? Why are most of these celebrities that are affiliated with Clive Davis, why were they on drugs and now deceased from overdoses? What was it that they were running from? The fame, the fortune. This is their goal, to be famous and fortunate. So why would you be loathing fame and fortune? Why would you want to escape it so much? What are they wanting to escape? Could it be the things that they've done, the guilt and the sorrow that they feel for the predicaments that they've put themselves in, and knowing that these things could be on tape, that they can be somehow blackmailed and the public can be made aware of the things that they've done? They've turned from those things for fame and fortune. So that could absolutely drive someone crazy. That can absolutely drive them to the point of wanting to, escape it through drugs. So for years, Clive has been the man with the plan, the man with the golden ear for talent. Has his career been all from hard work and pure genius? Or was it something else, something more sinister? How does one rise through the ranks as he has, and there's been no one to take his place or challenge his position? How do we explain the mysterious deaths and drug overdoses of the artists affiliated with this man? It is not pure coincidence. It is not fate, and it is not by chance. Clive Davis is the gatekeeper of the music industry, and to achieve success, you must go through him.